hung down from tree branches, briars grew up from the dirty red forest floor when I first walked to the city, and you could barely even make it out through the thicket, but it was there, in glimpses and in more glimpses as you moved further into the bush. There, as a vision of future and potential and hopes and dreams encased in the Stone Age ruins and walls of a forgotten people, or at least a forgettable people, or at least a people that I couldn't seem to catch a glimpse of in my glimpses wherever they may have been. But it was fine, and it was good enough, and its bits and pieces coming clear to me as I swung my machete sharp and brisk and cut through the endless brush towards the gilded fortress of pure, concentrated opportunity that had appeared to me. It was rising up the treetops into the clouds, spiraling up like a heavenly beanstalk tower of gigantic and biblical proportions, and when I finally broke through the mess of foliage that had been the barrier between past and present worlds, I gazed upon it in gratitude and in wonder. It was my home or my country, or perhaps even a material, tangible manifestation of my soul, or something like that. Or maybe just something like anything, because whatever it was right there in front of me, and no one could stop me from making it mine, so I did. And I began to imagine gold-paved streets and marketplaces filled with friends and neighbors and faces painted red and purple and gold by artists and mystics and naked, joyous bodies dancing around maypoles and singing songs about love and peace and utopian perfection, before going to church every Sunday dressed in white cotton tuxedos with carnations with lapels and straw summer hats, and drinking lemonade and tea and plenty of whiskey, and sleeping in their own beds at night and fucking their own wives, only their own wives, and making more tuxedo-wearing maypole dancing golden boys who wrote poetry and swam in the ocean after dinner, but now after dinner, so that they didn't get sick and heave up the spare ribs and lemonade and cornbread and tobacco and everything else, and me at the brunt of it all, their father, their leader, their founder, their king. Richard welcomed me in with what we'll call open arms, because they were at the beginning, they were when it all started. He wanted people to surround him and praise him and love him, I suspect, because I don't think anyone ever truly did before he found them there, and so he opened them up to anyone and everyone who would come, wanderers, worshippers, lost souls, people without any direction, left orphans of the countryside. That's who he wanted, that's who he was himself, in his own way. So he got up on top of that mountain with a goddamn megaphone and yelled, "Come to me, come to me. I can save you from your drollness and your sorry twists of fate, you lovable wrecks, and I happen to hear her." So I dropped the little I had and came running, because that's what you do. You take every chance you can get when you've got nothing to lose, and that was me. I had nothing. I was misguided and abandoned by everyone I knew, so I followed that buttery voice and was right to its ruins. The ruins, they were nothing more than ruins. He kept calling the broken down cathedrals and fountains a city, but they were a city maybe once, but not anymore, and I thought never again, so I turned on a dime As soon as I saw the disappointing result of his propagandized call to worship, all of a sudden I didn't really have anywhere to go. I couldn't tell where I came from or where I'd been or what had even happened to me really, and I was actually more lost than ever when I was swept up by an incoming wave of losers just like me, who carried me right up to the center of town to cheer and hurrah and whatnot. But then what it was for I wasn't exactly sure, but it felt right and it felt good. And all these blundering idiots were moving for some sort of idol god who had fooled them into being his followers and his children and his slaves with just a word, and I was with them, and I was at the front of the pack, cheering and being glad to be alive for once, and not missing my family or my home at all, and thinking I had a chance to make something of myself for once, all for once in a lifetime. And then, of course, Richard changed his mind, and he got overwhelmed by what he had created, and he said, out, rats, vermin, get out of my paradise. But by then, we hadn't anywhere else to go. It's not exactly all there because I hit my head real hard that one time, or maybe that other one time, or maybe something else, but Richard said, get out of my paradise. So I said, okay, cool down, calm down, or something of that sort. And I took his advice and jumped out a 3-story window, but I was fine, and I took off running, and I was bleeding a little bit because the glass wasn't anything too serious, and James was there. And James asked me where I was going, but I didn't answer because I was running so fast and bleeding so much because of the glass that I didn't let myself be concerned with it. So I didn't let myself be concerned with it, which after the fact I regret because it seems very inconsiderate in retrospect, but it's too late now because James is probably long dead. And I just about lost my way anyway, but that's not the point. The point is that I went into the jungle or the forest or whatever you want to call it, and I never broke my stride. And I found food where and when I needed it. And sometimes it was fish from the river, or sometimes it was beans from a can, or half a turkey leg, or a handful of breadcrumbs that I scrounged around for and got up a farmer, or a wealthy passerby, or even a friend. Or sometimes it was that mushroom that I found in the forest that I probably shouldn't have even eaten because it got me kind of lost, very lost, not kind of, but very. I was not doing so well after eating that mushroom. But as I said before, that's not the point. The point is that I never broke my stride and I got what I needed. And I never looked back at Richard or James or Luther or anything because it didn't really matter to me because I didn't need that. I mean, from time to time I would miss him when he was they were my friends. At least once upon a time they were, but I could survive for myself, especially with a wolf or a bear or another bleeding run on my knees that was supposed to let the splint, or maybe just making the splint if I broke my leg or my toe or my neck. And if I did that a lot, and that was it. I was self-sufficient most of the time, and when I wasn't, someone would help me up by making me breakfast, and when I was, I'd make breakfast for someone else who wasn't, because that was the crux of everything, that we'd help each other. And I didn't even know these fellows' names, like I knew names back in Richard City, but it didn't matter because we didn't need names, because we were one and the same, because we were all just searching for something we could never find.
I'm out there searching for a soul. In exercise, I'm losing all my self-control, cause I wanna be my very own man. And in a room full of robots, I don't think that I can. Suppression stands at every door. Liberation from its hold is what I'm searching for. It's gonna make me lose my mind. I hate just breaking even every goddamn time. So what does it mean? Is it all what it seems? Am I made to be enslaved onto the status quo? I just don't know. I'm out there yearning for a heart, cause a life without a love is gonna tear me apart. I wanna feel your sweet embrace, but to really taste you right, we gotta leave this place. I long to dig deep in the crust, uncover ugly secrets, gotta shake off the dust. There's truth down in the deep dark pits, but this first world living's got me trapped in it. So what do I do? I ain't even a clue. Am I made for looking blindly towards a hunk of Joe? I just don't know. I need to make a run for the hills, and I'll cut down anyone to get my fill, cause I deserve a share of this world. I want a great big mansion and a long-legged girl. There's money out there on the coast, and whoever gets that bird will be the one who's gonna get the most. So step aside and smoke. Old, sick or crippled, you're a hindrance, you're a foe. So what makes me rich? Being a son of a bitch. Am I made to kill if it'll make my fortune grow? I just don't know. I just don't know. I just don't know.
I met Ulysses on a Tuesday, and the first thing he said to me was give me a hand, which made sense because he had crashed his car into a ditch, and I was kind of in a hurry, but I'm a good guy, so I smashed the passenger side window with my cane, and I pulled out the shards, and I reached out to him and pulled him through the window, because even though I could unlock the car door by reaching through the hole, it was all busted and bent out of shape and wouldn't open. So I dragged him through, and I think I must have dislocated his shoulder, so I wrapped him up with a roll and washed his feet in the river, and when I was turning to go, I felt something cold in the back of my neck, which was real bad, especially because the cold thing happened to be the barrel of a loaded gun, and he said, "What's your name?" And I said, "Joshua," but I didn't turn to look at him for obvious reasons. And he said Richard sent me, which wasn't true, but I didn't know better than who Richard was, but that didn't matter. I found the threat of a bullet in my head, which I was doing my best to avoid. Then he marched me around my town and told me what he was going to turn everything into once he called up his buddy Richard, who I still didn't know anything about. He said he would turn my house into a drugstore and my stable into a smokehouse, where he'd be the pit boss, and the local barber shop into a local barber shop where only he and his friends could get shaved, and where I would have to shave him. And I was very agreeable to all of this because neither people was a gun to my head, so I nodded in absolute agreement, and he liked that a lot, so he handcuffed me to a telephone pole and then he hot-wired in the Studebaker and raided my liquor cabinet and drove back to wherever the hell it came from. And when he came back, he brought a whole bunch of other guys who looked a lot like him too, but not Richard. I can't say I ever met Richard, but I heard a lot about him. And then he unlocked me and said, "Get to work," so I started shaving anyone who asked for a nickel apiece. And then he got me hooked on opium, but that's another story, and then I guess they got word that Richard wasn't satisfied with their settlement, so Ulysses told me to show him something else. But there wasn't anything else, which was when I realized that I was absolutely fucked.
My city's in ruins, my city's in flames, but you're gonna build a tower in the dark while you call my name. pay for all the souls that you slow. And for a while I was thinking that this had to be a fucking joke. I got this chain around my ankles and a heel on my throat. And every single day another torture gets off. Make me a heretic, make me a slave, make me a crucifix, make me a grave, but break my soul! But I tried to stay patient, I wanted to be strong. And every day I think altruism would steer me wrong. And now we're all cornered, and you're closing in slow. So you can rape me in the bushes if you're gonna let my spirit!
So what happened after that was we took Josh down to the river, kicking and screaming, and we dumped his head in the water, and he kept flailing around. We held him down with every swollen muscle in our big, strong animal bodies, and eventually he stopped and he was quiet because his lungs had filled and he had no more air to keep past his vocal cords. So we let the limp bastard go, and he started to float away, but then Ulysses grabbed him and said, "Wait, that's not much of a proper barrier, is it, boys?" And we thought that this was out of character for him because, of course, he was a bit of a cutthroat villain. However, it made a whole lot more sense when we saved Cassius, take his body and strip it clean, which was more his style, if you can call it Bruce's style, but don't tell him I said that. So I did, because I owe it to him.
Well, I'm not a thief, I'm not a liar, I'm not the cause of the Chicago fire, I'm not a crook, and you can write that in your book, cause I've been honest, but I got a lot to say, and I've been holding in the longest. First there's definition, politicians held down by their inhibitions, waiting at the top, rewarding for their intuitions, things like robbing blind men, beat down by the sign, and losing all they got, so that the boss could buy some fine shit. Lost my arm to a capitalist machine, but then it jammed and ran the gears, so all the capitalists got it clean. Absence in my genes, the evolutionary team must have some cash so like shit so that Ulysses gets the green. I don't think that's fair. No, I'm not a huge fan. Coked up bankers wanna take away my dental plan, take away my tall boy can, so it's contraband, take away my right to be an independent working man. Work hard, stand up. Work hard, stand up. Work hard, stand up, and then find gold pieces is gonna rain into your tin cup. Work hard and stand up. Work hard, stand up. Work hard, stand up. And maybe then the president will screw you in his bathtub. Back-breaking, life-taking, stupid, schizophrenic shaking. That's the way they do it in the land of the free. Like, sorry about the mess, sir. It's like cleaning up, sure, but if I'm playing my cards right, maybe you'll clean up for me. It's called hope for the hopeless, dope for the dopeless. Feel the pain on Sunday with the opiate, or know this, whatever that you think that you deserve, you won't get it. And unless you want to fight, I think you might as well forget it. Work hard and stand up. Work hard, stand up. Work hard, stand up. And then find gold pieces is going into your tin cup. Work hard, stand up. Work hard, stand up. Work hard, stand up. And maybe then the president will screw you in his bathtub. When you're in the cell, you better hope you don't develop too much. If they say you're guilty, remember, those are blasphemous rules.
I would not hesitate to say that we've got a pretty good thing going. If you asked me, which you didn't, but if you did, well, that's about what I'd say. On the other hand, I'm not going to stand here and deny to you that things were quite the mess, and in some areas still are, and in some other areas even more so, but I think, at least for the most part, what your gut is wish. I mean, I'm here, sort of, and you're all here too, sort of, and we're all doing okay, sort of, but why? You see, Cassius gave me a brain in a jar. It was Joshua's brain, and he had no use for it. No dog was going to go anywhere near it, but why would you? It was a brain, and it was the brain of a victim. There's got to be some kind of bad voodoo or something attached to something like that. But anyway, he didn't want it, so he put up a bunch of flyers and telephone poles in the storefronts. Even one in the barbershop, which I wasn't quite sure how to feel about, but I kept seeing these leaflets and posters all reading free brain, which is absolute garbage advertising and garbage business for what it's worth. Free? Come on, free. But that's beside the point. See, I grabbed one of these flyers and tracked down the address and rang the doorbell, which had blown fuses the day before and didn't work, so I stood a moment, then I knocked, and he answered, and I said, "I'll take the brain, if you still got it, that is." And he said, "Come on in." He offered me a glass of wine, but that was uncomfortable and entirely inappropriate, so I just took the brain, stayed sober, and went back home. And then I started to pick that brain. Hours and hours and hours I sat there at my desk and dissected the thing, and when I thought I had it figured out, I picked that apart too, and so on and so on and so on, until I had brain splattered on all my white walls, which was disgusting, but also strangely romantic in an intellectual kind of way. and after staring at the walls for a few more multitudes of hours each, I started to see letters, and after more staring and hours and staring and hours, I began to piece the letters together. And then all of a sudden they moved, and in an instant of utter brilliance and majesty and genius and victory, I knew what they meant. And I grabbed my jacket off the chair, and I ran down the cobblestone streets of the city, and I passed Richard's fire pit and James's train car and Ulysses' broken window, and I arrived at Joshua's bones, where I saw Cassius starving and weak and trapped in the cage he had been ordered to build for himself by his country. And I screamed with every inch of breath in my lungs, look out, get out of the way now. And I swung at the bones with my hatchet, but as Ulysses said, they were pretty fucking sturdy. And they buckled, but they wouldn't break. And I swung again and again and again and again, but they wouldn't break still. So in desperation, I flung myself at the bars of his cell, and I lodged myself in between two of them, and I told Cassius to plug his ears and to cover his head. And the poor sickly wreck of a man did what he could to follow my orders from his fetal position in the corner, and I told him that I was doing it for him, and then it went off.
If you're under the stone or you're falling down the well, you know that everybody's got to face their own personal hell. But come here now, don't just stand there in the rain. Why don't you let me ease your pain? I'll offer you bread, I will offer you wine. I'll give you anything that's gonna make your world mine. Don't let yourself be made to be ashamed. Don't you let me ease your pain. Trying to relieve a few of all the labor stain and try to get you back up on the train. I'm down here to ease your pain. And when going gets tough and you can't stand to fight, just remember